Alright, so we got the mounts for this part of the rear suspension. I have no idea what this is called, but basically this is just for the rear shock, and we needed to add a mount for this thing. Now, I've been really trying to figure out, like, do I want to use the dirt bike shock on this thing? Because you got to remember, we are getting rid of a lot of weight off of this thing. We're getting rid of the weight of the engine, the weight of the coolant system, and the gas tank. And we're replacing that with a battery that I just weighed that thing. It weighs 36 pounds. And the engine, the radiator system, and the gas tank, I want to say is going to... That stuff probably weighs like 75 or 80 pounds, I guess. Maybe a little bit more. I'm not really sure. So this thing's going to be a lot lighter. Plus, I don't weigh that much. So I don't want to be using this rear shock. And then this thing's going to be a lot lighter. And now this thing is too stiff, the rear suspension doesn't move down, and it's just... But somebody did tell me that I can either replace the spring on here with a softer spring or just get a new one of these things with a softer spring rate. So, which kind of sounds expensive because I'm looking at this thing and this does not look cheap. So, but I don't know. It's either, you know, just use this and have to replace it with one with a softer spring, or try to figure out a different way to mount a rear shock on here, possibly even mounting it directly onto the swing arm. I don't know. I think let's stick with the dirt bike theme on this. Use the dirt bike shock, and if we do have to replace it with one with a softer spring rate, then that's what we got to do on this thing. Now, next thing we got to do is finish the mounts for the swing arm. We basically just need to make 2 of these. These are the outer mounts. We did the inner mounts. Now we got to do the outer. Basically just make 2 of them and then tack them in place pretty much right there. broke that. Dang. Yeah, just broke that tack. Oh well. Just gotta re-tack it, I guess. Alright, now I'm trying to figure out an easy way to attach the foot pegs onto the frame right here, and my original thought was I was going to take a chunk of aluminum and cut it out so therefore I can weld it to the frame right here at the same angle that this is at, and I can drill and tap holes, and so therefore I can bolt this onto here basically the same way how it's attached on the original dirt bike frame. But after looking at looking at how I'd have to shape the piece of aluminum to weld it onto here, I think this is going to be a little bit too complicated. There's too many angles involved, and I have to get them all perfect, and then there's going to be a lot of welding. There's already a ton of welding going on right here, and I don't want to have to put this on, and that makes it even harder to weld this other stuff on. So I think this is it's a little too complicated to do it this way, so I think I figured out a much easier way to do this. Basically, it's just 2 pieces of plate steel welded on at 90 degrees, and I drilled 3 holes in it, and I'm going to be bolting this onto the frame right here, bolting it through here in both directions, and then I can use more plate steel to bridge the gap between this, and therefore just make this one piece. And I think that's going to be a lot easier way to attach the foot pegs onto this frame. Alright, got the foot pegs mounted on here. Really glad I chose to do it this way instead of welding on a giant chunk of aluminum and having to drill and tap. Yeah, this worked out a lot better, and it looks a lot better as well. So I still need to drill the 2 holes on the back, but I can't do that with the swing arm here, so I'll drill these holes once I kind of take this thing apart. So now, tomorrow, I'm going to drag everything out, back out to the driveway, so therefore I can finish welding on this stuff. It's a bit hot out, but whatever. so the frame is not completely done, but we can at least move on from it and work on something else. Now we finally get to work on putting the rear tire onto the swing arm, and also I got a new tire for this thing. I also got a new tire for the front because the front one was pretty bad, so got a front one as well as a brand new rear. Now, how the original dirt bike rear tire is mounted on this thing is completely different to how this is mounted onto something. So we're gonna have to modify this thing to get this to work. Basically, we just gotta chop these ends off, machine new types of mounts, and then weld them in place just so we can fit this thing onto the swing arm. Dang mosquitoes. Alright, so I'm trying to get these lined up with the swing arm. They need to be in line with these. So I think I need to take an extra 50 thousandths off on each one, and that should bring it in enough to where it lines up with the stuff. Now, I was really hoping to finish this in this video, so therefore I can actually assemble the frame and we can actually see some progress getting done on this project, but unfortunately I ran out of time this week and we're going to have to do that next week. Also, by the way, these are not finished. I know they're big and blocky and they look like crap, but they're not finished. I need to get them, once I get them lined up and everything, then I'm going to go back on the mill and machine a lot of this, This thing's super big and chunky. I'm going to take some angles off of that and some off of that and everything and just get some of the weight off of this thing. So, anyway, next video of this project, I believe, I don't want to promise, but I believe we're going to finish the swing arm, and therefore we can actually assemble the swing arm on the frame, get the front forks and triple trees on the frame, and actually be able to see some actual progress getting done on this project. I know it doesn't look like we're getting much progress done on this thing in the last 2 videos of this project, but we are. It's just slow and this stuff just takes forever. So yeah, I guess that's it for this week's video. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video. And now it's raining. Great! Gotta move everything inside. I'm still standing out in the rain welding this, but at least this is not getting rained on. So, we're kind of making this work. It's not perfect, not a perfect situation, but you know what? I'm making it work. Fuck, what was that? Oh, don't step on that. Oh, wonderful. I just broke that. Nice. Whoopsies. Ah, this was on the floor and I just stepped on it. Oh, I love... Oh, come on. Quit putting stuff on the floor.